Thank you so much for coming here. It means a lot to all of us. It was really, really great to be able to make this happen and be able to see friends and people that we've been with for years. And it's kind of a bit overwhelming to have this many of you in this room. There's too many people. I don't know how many of you are now all of a sudden claustrophobic after the past few years. I've got that feeling a little bit. A couple of quick announcements. First and foremost, we already said welcome. We're glad you're here. I want to point out this shirt. We don't have goons at any of the Way West, Wild West, Hackin Fest conferences because goons honestly scare the hell out of me. I don't know if anybody has that vibe. But if you see someone wearing this shirt, there's someone that can help you. If you have a question, you want to get to the right place, if you have medical assistance that's needed, please look out for somebody wearing one of these shirts and they can help you out. Also, it's ridiculous how many people have these shirts right now. Our staff that helped out this conference and get it set up has just been amazing. Can I get a round of applause for everybody that's been setting all of this up? So, and if you see something suspicious, something weird, just let us know. There's no reason to go in and confront people and turn it into a scene, but let us talk to the people who can actually handle that. I would appreciate that. I'm also going to talk a little bit about code of conduct. If you go and look on our website, we do have a code of conduct. The first year that we did this, my code of conduct was don't be a jerk. And if you don't know what being a jerk is, if you're coming up to me, you're like, I want specific details on what qualifies being a jerk, don't come. If you're that confused over what being an asshole is, you shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be around people.
But at first you said jerk, now you're asshole.
Yeah, now we're escalating. We're escalating. But here's the deal. We can disagree with each other, folks. We don't have to make it a personal argument. We don't have to escalate it to the point where we hate each other. We can have disagreements. You know, about should there be 4 layers, the Stevens model, or are there 7 layers in the OSI model? Taste great, less filling, all of that. Also, if someone isn't interested, leave them alone, right? Okay, this isn't OKQ, it's a freaking security conference. Once again, if you're coming to conferences looking for love, you're probably in the wrong place. So please be nice to each other. That's all I'm going to ask. I'm also going to let you know, if there is a conflict between people at this conference, I'm going to ask both people to leave. And I'm not doing that because I'm being an a-hole or just, if we have a conflict at the conference between 2 individuals, I am not going to try to figure out who's right and who's wrong. I'm going to ask both politely to leave the conference because you know of situations where people might come back and take it out on the rest of the people at the conference. Just going to say, let's just de-escalate. We don't need to pick sides on these types of things. A reminder, we have yoga with Christine tomorrow from 7:45 to 8:30. So please check out the schedule for that. And then on Friday, we're doing a run. I have no idea how far we're going to run. Some will go further than others. Some may make it to Mexico, not come back, and that's okay.
Just if you're making a choice, the yoga class does not leave the site, right?
Yeah, yoga class is not. It's not that. If you're running that, you're doing yoga wrong. Like that's not the way it's supposed to be. If you signed up for one of our workshops in person and you cannot make it, please let us know because there is a wait list for our workshops. We have a lot of really cool workshops going on. Cancellation. My brother from another mother, Jonathan Ham, is not feeling well, and he made the right decision. Somebody applauded. That guy's sick. Or they applauded too soon. They're like, I should have heard the rest of that. And he made the smart decision. He didn't feel good. And he is not to be presenting. I'm going to say this. If you're not feeling well, be like Jonathan. Don't come downstairs and cough all over us. No, we don't need that. So he unfortunately will not be here. If you can send him well wishes on Twitter, I'm sure he won't read them because he's smart and he stays off of Twitter. Nathan Sweeney will be presenting 2 p.m. to 2:50. I believe that Nathan's taking over Jonathan's slot. Is that correct? And he's got this talk, which I have to see, Shortcuts Through the Minds of Mariah. How bad could it be? I'm guessing bad. Tomorrow night, we're going to be doing a live production, BHIS, talking about the news from 7 until 8. So we'll be here and talking about the news, so that should be a lot of fun. And I wanted to call out our MCs. We have Ray is here. Where's BB? BB King is around here somewhere. Can't miss him. I've got this write-up of Ray. I've known Ray forever. He's been one of the people that was facilitators. He was permanently at the Sands Institute. He took tons of classes. He actually, I think, was one of the divisions of the Sands Institute for a while. He was a dean. Okay, so he was literally freaking college. And one of my favorite things that I've ever done, keep the video there every time I touch it.
There you go. All right, everybody stand on your left foot.
So, I'm going to hold this up. We're going to keep this going. We were playing around a while ago, and we were talking about the DMCA. We were talking about music and how if you're sharing music, you could get like the record companies to come after you. We devised a scheme. So what Ray did is he burnt all of his music onto a hard drive for me, and he gave it to me as his backup service. And periodically I had to validate the backups. And we thought that that would be a good way of getting around the RIAA and everything that they were doing with music. So, but Ray is one of the... Completely legitimate. We were hoping we would get sued.
If you self-report on YouTube, there are no penalties.
If you self-report on YouTube. So hi, YouTube. Welcome. This conference has nothing to do with hacking. So he's going to be the MC of one of the tracks, and then BB King is going to be the MC of one of the other tracks. I don't think he's here right now, but BB is one of the earliest pen testers at BHIS, and he's just an absolute great friend. Both these guys are just great. So please, hang out and get a chance to talk to them and get them a beer. Now tonight we've got Doc is presenting. And one of the things I really like about Doc is he actually is in the field doing this stuff. So he's got some great war stories about all kinds of horrible things. So security isn't what you do. I'm going to be a little bit curious on what that is. He said he wrote it just for this presentation, or for this presentation tonight, and then he winked at me. I don't know what that means.
You'll find out.
You'll find out. Following that, we have a panel discussion. A whole bunch of people are going to be up here talking about computer security. And then to close it out, where's John Bevers? John Bevers, the man behind the curtain. He's been working really hard. As part of our Capture the Flag, we've developed augmented reality, and John is the mastermind behind that. If you saw the battleships in the next room that are all cardboard cut out, not cardboard, they're actually cut out in plywood, we've been working with some augmented reality stuff. So please, please, please check that out. So with that, once again, I want to say thank you so much for being here and getting this close to each other, which is a little bit unnerving. I don't have time to go through and say thanks to absolutely everybody that made this happen. I'll try to come up with a list later. It's like the Oscars, I've gone too long and I need to be shut up. So with that, everyone, can you please give a warm round of applause for Doc, who's kicking it off officially.
Thank you.
Let me grab my stuff.
That was totally unnecessary, and it just I feel like it raised the bar right there for me. So please don't. If you clap when I go do my job, I'm just going to have to go to your office and clap when you do your job. You like that, don't you? Yeah. All right. I'm going to try something here and see if I can actually make this microphone work. Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing today in San Diego? Woohoo! Wow. Really excited about that. Really am. I mean, just with COVID and all that, to get out of my office basement, which is just, the basement of my home that I put a computer in it with a table, and now it's an office, right? You all know what I'm talking about. We've all been doing that. It's my office now. So I'm Doc Blackburn. As John said, I've done a lot of different things over a lot of different years. And so when somebody asks me what I do for a living, I don't know. I talk for a living, which isn't a bad job to have. But I am going to say some things here to kick off this conference here in San Diego. Here we are all in person again. We're all excited to get back to doing, our jobs in person, security. And I am going to start this conference by telling you at a security conference that security is not your job. It's not what you do, folks. I'm sorry. And I'm going to spend most of this hour together. Well, it was supposed to be an hour, and then Velda tells me it's 50 minutes. It's like, well, last year I had an hour and I only took 45. You know how budgets are? If you don't use the whole budget, they take it away from you. And so now they're like, oh, well, you can do it in 50. I was like, well, you're killing me here. You're killing me, Velda. But we're going to have a very, very uncomfortable conversation here. And the conversation is going to be around one question, and one question only. Are we secure? So let's start with a thought exercise on that. When I give presentations, in case any of you have attended my presentations before, you know that if you sit in the front row, you're going to get wet. You're going to get picked on, all right? So thank you so much for sitting in the front row here, folks. We're going to do a thought exercise for you. Let's say, so we made eye contact, so I'm gonna, yep, you did it. You didn't mean to, maybe, but. So let's say I'm your boss, you've been working for me for a while, okay? And I come up to you one day and say, hey, what's your name? Patricia. So, are we secure? No. Okay, you're fired. That was easy. Good. Yeah. She's being honest. I just fired Patricia. What's your name?
Daniel.
Daniel. Are we secure?
Of course.
Yes. Okay. All right. Well, he learned because he talked to Patricia. She's walking out the door. It's like, yes, we are secure. Now, I as the boss, I got the answer I was looking for, right? Obviously, because when Patricia said no, I fired her. So now, and I forgot your name already.
Daniel.
Daniel said, yes, we are secure. Now, what did I as the boss hear? Not what did Daniel say, but what did I hear as the boss? That we're what? So go ahead.
You're safe.
We're safe, which means no
Hacks.
no breach, right? Daniel, I remembered your name this time. 2 times the charm. Is that what you meant to tell me? Can you tell me that we'll never be breached?
No, of course not.
No, of course not. Then why did you say that we're secure? So now, what happens? What's that? That's what the boss wants to hear. But then what happens is Daniel is the first one out the door. He gets unceremoniously fired when we get breached. And then the Diamondbacks hat. All right, Diamondbacks fan. Love the D-backs. Your name? Craig. That'll be easy to remember. That's one of my brother's names. All right. So Craig, Daniel just got fired. And now I hire you, and I ask you, are we secure? Now, he's got a deer in the headlights. Look, camera on him here. You should see his face here. It's like, wow. Are we secure?
I don't know.
I don't know. Ooh, that's a great answer. No, you're not. You're just parroting what Patricia said. You want to get fired, don't you? Yeah. Yes is the wrong answer because we can't guarantee it, right? No is the wrong answer because the boss doesn't want to hear that. And you call yourself security. Now, when I say this, some of you right now, you're thinking, well, you don't understand. No, there's so much more to it. And it's like, but. Yeah, I know. Some of you are feeling that way right now. It's uncomfortable, right? While some others of you are probably like, preach it, brother. You are giving us the word. This is the word. This is what I'm talking about. Well, just wait, folks. Yeah. You don't know what the answer is, do you? If any of you know it, blurt it out, please, because I haven't figured it out yet, all right? Not yet. Now, I'm sure some of you say, well, wait a minute, Doc. So you're either in one camp or you're in the other, or all of you others are like, wow, Doc Blackburn's already blown through 3 memes on the first slide of its presentation. It's like, yeah, why not? Pictures are easy to find on the internet. Use Google, right? And my brother, the reason that I put this picture up is my brother the other day, and all the stories I'm going to tell are true. My brother, I had a conversation with him about a month ago, and he said, you're like Sheldon Cooper. And I asked him, I said, what's a Sheldon Cooper? And apparently my asking that question made me more of a Sheldon Cooper. I don't know. I just found pictures. I saw some lady yelling and some other person with hands in the air, And oh, by the way, since we're dealing with all of these memes, I know today is a special day, right? It's the anniversary of Battlestar Galactica, right? And so all I'm going to say is Nanu. Yeah, okay. All right. Let's go back to the question here. So are we secure? We know that no isn't the right answer. Yes isn't the right answer. And so we deflect. Let's say you pull an answer out of your butt that gets you out of the boss's office. And now you're back in the hallway. So at least, glad I got through that. Well, now here's the thing. You're no longer relevant in your organization if you aren't going to be able to answer this question to the boss. So my question to you is it really the right question to ask? Can any of you say that you will never be sick again in your life? Can anybody say that? We take vitamins. Apparently we're doing yoga tomorrow, which sounds like a lot of fun. We're going to do some running. We take care of our bodies. But nobody here can say you will never, ever again be sick. Can anybody say that? Just checking, just making sure. Anybody? You say you'll never be sick again? Yeah, liar. No, we can't say that, right? 1 out of 200 or 150 can't be wrong, right? So, what's the problem that we're dealing with here? The problem is when the boss asks you the question, it was their expectation as to what the answer would be. It was a matter of breach or no breach. And that's the metric, right? I'm seeing some faces that are like, yeah, it is. The boss thinks that this is the metric for you doing your job right. Now, what that does is it puts us in a very uncomfortable position because we are, based on this metric, we are being paid so nothing bad happens to the organization. Doesn't that feel like a mob boss sort of proposal right there? It'd be a shame if something happened to your stuff. They're paying us so nothing bad happens to our organization. Is that the right way to have our jobs be viewed? Because that's how the boss sees us right now, unless we change that expectation. Now, some of you may say, well, blah, 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 we do what the company across the street is doing, right? You ever run across a new problem and you ask, I have literally been in a position where I've had a boss ask me, so I was working for a research hospital. We had affiliate hospitals. And my boss, who had the title of Director of Security, said, Well, what are they doing across the street? What's Children's Hospital doing? As if Children's Hospital had any idea what the fuck they were doing. Sorry. Right? Come on, now we're preaching it. Yeah, we're going to do what they're doing. As if they had some sort of a plan in place. Somebody over there was like, I don't know, put a firewall in front of it, right? And the firewalls are magic. They make us secure. So, let's take things a step further now. Security is getting in the way of the business. The business does not exist to secure it. I don't care whether or not you have security in your job title. The business doesn't exist for us to secure it. The network doesn't exist for us to make sure nobody ever gets in. I have a friend who one day he calls me up. He's like, he knew what he did for a living. And he said, hey, so Doc, your students, you teach them all this stuff. And what I've got here is I created this network. And it just for fun. And I want to see if somebody could break into it. Do you want to give that network address to your students and see if they can break in? And I said, sure. And I asked them, what does the network do? Like, what do you mean? I said, what does the network do? What did you make it for? He said, well, no, I just was putting it together. It does nothing. I said, congratulations, you made something that doesn't exist. It's not real. Because all of our networks are designed to do some sort of a job. And when we put security in place that causes that network to no longer do the thing that it's supposed to do, we're wrong, right? All of a sudden, we're wrong for not allowing them to do this thing. Now, in this particular picture, I know it's a very thought-provoking picture, right? A friend of mine was skiing in Chile, and he took a picture of that and he sent it to me. He's like, Doc, I think that sums up. He's a security guy as well. So that sums up our job right there. I was like, yeah, pretty much. That's it, totally. Now, the problem is even worse than that. Because they want us to secure the network, but we don't get to spend all of the money to secure the network, right? Right. Because every dollar that you spend on security reduces the value of that asset by $1. Is my microphone cutting in? Oh, it sounds like it is. Yeah. Stay away from metal. Stay away from metal. Stay away from metal. I feel like Howard in Better Call Saul, or Chuck. That's it. Chuck. Where it's like, everything electronic. All right. It's working. It's working now. Maybe they're just penning me in. Maybe I just have to stay here. But I can't go too far back. They said I get feedback if I go back here, which is hilarious, which means I don't get to see my own slides. I'm flying blind over here. When you see the slide, I see it too for the first time. Now, my mommy, remember all these stories are true. My mommy gives me a crisp $100 bill every year for Christmas. Yeah, it's nice. I got my $100 bill. Awesome. Some years I spend it on material things. One year I bought a base used, and I was flying from Denver to Chicago, and I'm holding that base in its case and walking down the road on the plane, and this guy with this purple hair goes, "Oh, you can just throw yours on top of mine there." Look, I see this guitar case up there. I was like, "Okay, nice." I throw it up there and figure, well, if I put my bass guitar on top of his guitar, I might as well sit in the same row with him. I don't know if that's the etiquette, if that's, if I'm allowed to do that, but I sat next to him. And we're silent for a few seconds. I said, I bet you're somebody. And he smiled and he said, yeah, I'm Jim Pedrick, the founding member of Survivor. I was like, yeah, the guy that wrote The Eye of the Tiger and all of 38 Special songs. And for anybody here who's not taking heart medication or other sorts of vitamins for your daily health, you don't have any idea the things that I just said. He was important at one point. He signed my bass. When we got to Chicago Midway, he signed my bass for me. So it made it special. That was a special $100. But this last Christmas, I decided, you know what? I want the crisp $100 bill that my mommy gives me has special meaning too, because my mom gave it to me. So I decided I'm going to protect this. I'm not going to spend it. It's an heirloom. I'm going to keep it. So I need a special place to keep it. I go down to Target. Yeah, I know they got breached. I still shop there. I go down to Target. And what was nice is you start seeing those people in your class. What I like seeing is breach happens. I don't like seeing breach happen, all right? I mean, I do. It's called job security, but I don't like seeing breaches happen. But when the breach happens, what I do like to see is students showing up in my classroom for those companies. Like, at least they're turning things around. At least they're starting to do the right things now. But I go to Target and I look on the shelf. It's like, there's this safe, a fireproof safe. It's a small one. It's like, that's perfect. I could put my $100 bill in this safe and some other things as well, some important papers. And so I said, this is perfect. I take it to the register, put it on the belt. The cashier rings it up and says, $100, please. I said, yes. And I give them, the $100 that I was going to protect in the safe. Folks, we don't get to spend all of the money protecting the assets because the asset would be worth zero at that point. I can't spend $100 protecting $100 because then it's worth nothing. It's worth nothing at all. So we don't get to spend all of the money. Also, speaking of money, insecurity, we're seen as a cost center. What does that mean, we're seen as a cost center? It's going back to a few slides here. We pay the money, we pay security money so nothing bad happens to our stuff. And even worse than that, we also get labeled as the Department of No. Whatever you do, do not ask security because they'll tell you no, right? So what do? The manager takes their purchasing card and just buy it. Just buy it. Don't tell security about it. Which is about the worst possible condition we could be in. At that research institute that I was working for, we had a new researcher come in. I'll leave names out of this, but let's just say this particular principal investigator, we poached them from Johns Hopkins University. It's like, yes, got a big gun here. Millions of dollars of funding. And at the time, I was supporting that area of the research institution. And she comes to me one day, she says, so Doc, you're the person that helps me with my IT stuff, right? And I said, yeah, sure, what do you need? And she said, here, let me show you. And we go to her office, to her wet lab. And for those that know in research, a wet lab, that's a heck of a lot more important than a dry lab. The difference between the two is a wet lab is a lab that has a sink. Yes, that's what the researchers want, is a lab with a sink. And yes, that's an actual thing. And she had a bunch of it. It was actually, her wet lab area was about the size of this room. And when it comes to research dollars, that's huge. And she took me over to one of the cabinets and she opens it up and there's servers and blinking lights and cables and switches and all sorts of stuff. And she's like, I need to, and I didn't let her finish her statement. I closed it. And I said, I was never here. And I walked right out the door. That's shadow IT, right? Where they bring in the IT. Yet, if something was to happen to that, the university would be in trouble. It wouldn't be so-and-so researcher, had stuff in a cabinet that they didn't tell anybody about this stuff. And so, that's not the headline. It was the university had a breach. And so here we are dealing with these things that we don't even know about. Because either it's allowed, it's like, why was that allowed? She brought millions of dollars of research funding in, so of course it was allowed. She was making the business better. Remember, we support the business. So those are the types of things that we're dealing with. Everybody get in the picture here? We've got a problem. Keith Palmgren summed it up best when he said that when security gets in the way of the mission, security is wrong, not the mission. We cannot do anything that gets in the way of what we're doing in the business, in their job. Now, Keith, being a good friend of mine, he also let me know that he said once, he said, now, Doc, I'm not saying that I'm Batman. He says, but you've never seen both of us in the same room, have you? And so, of course, then I screenshotted him and I put him in a Batman costume here. And now his son, apparently his adult son, is a huge Batman fan. And so this is apparently his adult son's wallpaper on his cell phone now. I was like, that's kind of cool. But the point is that we cannot do things that don't support the mission. We cannot do things that get in the way of the mission. We're wrong in those cases. So let's circle back to the original question of, are we secure? Now, we got hired to do a job. We got hired so the organization wouldn't become breached, right? And now we know, we've discussed this, we have lots of reasons why. We cannot be secure. We know that, which means that eventually you will get pwned. You're going to get breached. It's just a matter of time. We don't get to spend all the money. We don't get to take this network offline. It's easy to secure systems, right? You just turn them off and bury them in concrete. It was a they say, if you bury the computer in concrete and the lead case thing and it's off and all of that, it's probably secure, but even then we're not so sure. Yeah, but then it's unusable. And so we don't get to do that. So eventually you're going to get breached. It's going to happen. Does anybody want to argue that point with me at this point? Everybody good? Yeah, I've beat you into submission that well. Excellent. Nice. Yeah, which means eventually we get breached. Now, let's say it doesn't happen this year. Congratulations, you did your job. We didn't get breached, right? Does that mean we did our job this year? It just means our number wasn't up at that time, right? So, what happens when we don't get breached? Everything's good. We get raises, we get bonuses. Oh no, we must have spent too much money on security, which is just, it is a neurotic way of looking at things. We paid you to make sure that we don't get breached. So when we don't get breached, I must have paid you too much money to do that. So they cut our budget, right? Because we're known as a cost center. Oh, well, here's a place that we can cut money. Because security is excessive until it's not. So let's cut their budget. And then let's say, congratulations, you just went through another year and you didn't get breached. What do? Cut your budget again, and then another year until finally, bam, we're breached. All right. And then they unceremoniously fire our butts. And then the cruelest joke of them all is they hire new people to come in to do the same job that we were doing. And what do they do with those new people? They give them money, they give them resources, they give them anything that they need. We see it all of the time. We were talking about Target a little bit ago. Yeah, Target is a prime example. Now, I am not picking on Target specifically, just insert company name here. But a company gets breached, it's like, oh, well, we should do better. And so they hire people, they bring in resources, they do lots of different things. And guess what? Don't feel too bad for yourself when that happens. Because guess what's going to happen to the new shiny-faced people that come in? The same thing's going to happen to them. It's just going to repeat that cycle over and over again. Now, I need to introduce a fictional character. This fictional character is Evil Doc. Ooh, he's scary. Ooh, I'm sorry, I put this picture up. I didn't give anybody trigger warnings or anything, so let's censor that. There we go. Now, Evil Doc is a fictional character because there's law enforcement in the room, all right? So Evil Doc, does lots of things. He's a fictional character. Good Doc, me, I wouldn't admit to any of those things. But let's talk about good versus evil here. Now, what is the job of good? We come into work 9 a.m. Monday morning. We spend 8 hours having meetings, writing reports, checking on the logs, firewall rules. Well, no, whatever your job is, fill in the blank there. And so you're going about your day, and then you go home. You get sick. You have to go home. You take vacations. At 5 p.m., you call it a day. We have to sleep at some point. Does evil ever sleep? Does evil stop? Well, some evil might. So it's like, some evil will sleep, and then other evil takes over in their place. Yeah, we have to protect our networks 24/7. But it's worse than that. I took a posting from the job site monster.com, and I edited it for brevity. It's the one on the left, by the way. I edited it for brevity, and I put it on the slide. And this is only a little of what that job posting said for security administrator. Do you see a disconnect between what we have to do and what they do? They're going to pwn our systems and monetize it, right? Then they're done. That's it. It's not a fair fight. In fact, I like to call security, our jobs, I like to call it the hockey model. Because who's my hockey fans here? The NHL Stanley Cup playoffs just started. What's your team? Avalanche. Go Avs. Absolutely. I'm from Denver, so there we go.
Montreal Canadiens.
Canadians. Are they even in it? No. Okay. The Caps. What's that? Lightning. Woo!
Kraken, Minnesota Wild.
Kraken. Wild. Yeah. Awesome. Woo! I'm not a hockey fan at all. Sorry, folks. I could barely name 5 NHL players, and that's the truth. Why did I just set you guys up, didn't I? Why did I mention hockey? Oh, here's the thing. My son plays hockey. I'm a fan of my son, so therefore, I watch hockey, right? Now, when my son was small, he was a very good player, a very strong skater. And I had noticed something about what the coaches would do with the kids that were strong skaters when they were small. Where would they put the strong skaters? They put them on offense. For those who, from the corners of the room, I got some people who are hockey fans. The rest of you, you know how the game hockey's played, right? It's that game on the ice and that fishbowl thing, and they skate around and all that with that, so there's sticks and that puck thingy. And now I've just exhausted all of the information I know about hockey right there. Now, they put the best skaters in offense. Why? because those offensive players, as strong skaters, they could skate past the defender. They only need to be slightly faster than the defender and they win. The whole idea is to get by that defense so they can take a shot on net without the defender there, right? I know in baseball, this is just weird stuff. Think soccer, think soccer. Yeah, it's kind of like that. All right. Now, and yes, this actually, the boy in orange and white there with the puck, you can see that little puck thingy he's a strong skater. These kids are, I believe they're 9 and 10 years old in this picture. And he was a strong skater, and so he would skate past the defender. You could see his stick and the puck is just inches beyond the defensive player, but he's won already because he gets to take the shot now. But I had noticed something as he got older, as he grew up, got bigger, stronger, their level of play became more sophisticated. The coaches did something different. They took those best skaters and they took them off of offense. And where did they put them? They put them on, well, there's only 3 different positions in hockey, right? Come on, just start thinking through it here. They put them on defense. Why? Because in the game of hockey, the defensemen, and now you see that these 2 in the toward the top of the slide here, they're the defending players. They are anticipating what the offense does. They mirror the offensive player's actions, and they redirect that offensive player away from what the offensive player is trying to do. Okay, what's the point? They're doing all of that while skating backwards. It's hard to see in this picture, but those 2, now this is high school hockey right here. These kids are about 16, 17 years old, 17, 18 here. Though you can't see the action, but those 2 players are actually skating backwards while mirroring everybody else who's skating forwards. Now, TV and movies have lied to you folks. Yeah, I know, what? Yes, they've lied to you. Because do you know what TV and movies have told you for generations? Who's in the net? The fat kid that can't skate, right? They lied to you. Do you know who the best skater is in the team? The goalie themselves. Does this kid look fat? Does he look slow? They're the best skaters out there. Now, this has nothing to do with the presentation at this point. I'm just bragging about my son. That's my son in net there. 12 months ago, well, thank you. 12 months ago, this time I was in St. Louis watching him defend against, this was in the national championships, and he was in net. Yeah, well, thank you. And not that I'm proud of him or anything, right? You've got more pictures and stuff. It was really neat to see him play for a national championship. But now, going back to that skating, I know for a fact that along with the coaches on the team, along with the goalie coaches they have for the organization, these players, these goalies have their own private skating coaches. I know, I write the checks for that. Yeah, they're the best skaters out there. They're the ultimate defender. And he actually has 3 other coaches on top of that. A private coach for positioning, a private coach for the psychology of the game, and a private coach for game situations. That's just the stuff that they go through. But the reason that I mention this at all is insecurity. That's us. We're skating backwards, folks. We're the defense skating backwards. Now, how are we skating backwards? So far, we've discussed many of these things. Does anybody have... I got a question for you. Does anybody here have unlimited time and resources to fix everything in security? Anybody have unlimited time and resources? Darn, I always wish that somebody would raise their hand because I want a job application from you. Yeah, it doesn't exist, right? We're constrained by time and money. Also, we have to, in hockey, the offense only needs to find one way to get past the defense, right? What must the defense do to be successful in stopping the attacker? They have to find and fix all of the ways, right? Yeah, they have to be right every single time and do the right things. Now, does an attacker need to follow your organization's policies in attacking you? No, they don't need to do that. Can we break policy? Can you break company policy defending your network? No, that's not allowed. Does the attacker need to follow your compliance regulations? I don't know a single business today, I just cannot name one, that doesn't have some sort of compliance regulation that they have to follow, right? Does the attacker have to follow that? No. Does the attacker even need to follow the law in attacking you? Oh, that's silly. They've already broken the law. They're trying to break into our systems. Can we break the law in defending our networks? No. You guys get the idea here, right? And there's just some things that just don't even have solutions. People make bad passwords. People make bad decisions. There's shadow IT, and there's nothing puts the SH in IT like shadow IT does, right? And there's ways around. You all are, congratulations, going to be here learning for most of the classes, most of the tracks you guys are doing here. You're going to be learning how to get around all of the defenses, right? So, we cannot secure our systems. And I know that makes many of you angry. Go back to our original thoughts now and start putting all of this together. So, what are we actually doing if security is not our job? What is it we do? And this is the interactive part. Just go ahead and blurt it out. Just say it. We reduce risk. Okay, yeah, the boss here's blah, blah, blah. We need more money for something, right? We reduce risk. What's that?
Process.
It's a process. You intrigue me. What process is this?
Closed.
It's a closed loop kind of process. So you just, well, yeah, I had a slide for that. Yeah.
Learn about attacks, figure out ways in advance to try to prevent them.
We learn about attacks and learn ways to prevent them. And if you were my employee and I was your boss, I fell asleep halfway through that sentence. But that's a halfway decent answer. Go ahead. Keep the company off the dark web. What exactly is the dark web? Wow. Yeah. What's that? Where they sell information. Cool. Ooh, I've got some money. Remember, I've got that $100. Let's go get some info. These aren't wrong answers. They're not bad answers. We defend. Okay, great. I like that answer too. We're here to check a box. I love that one. What's your name? Carlos. Everybody give Carlos a hand there. We're here to check a box. Speaking of box checking, Carlos, Tony Sager is right behind you of CIS. The ultimate box checker, right? I'm sorry. He's a rock star of mine, by the way, and the way that I show affection towards somebody is to pick on them. So now, those are all noble answers. What I'm going to do is take all of those answers that you guys gave. I'm going to smush them together and make it sound smart. Okay? We're managing our levels of insecurity. That is what we're doing, isn't it? That covers all of those answers. What does that mean? Well, for one, our boss doesn't understand our job. Is your job title insecurity manager? It should be, right? Security is in our job title. Go ahead.
I said that builds confidence.
That builds confidence, doesn't it? I'm an insecurity manager. But it is what we do, right? Let's talk about this for a second. What does that mean? Well, first, we need to acknowledge that security just isn't our job. And I think we're all there right now, right? But what we need to do is acknowledge that, internalize it. You're managing your organization's insecurities. But security is in your job title. We need to change the way the organization sees our jobs. So let's talk about these just a little bit here. First, we have to take away the expectation that our role in the organization is an expense. I can stand in front of a room full of executives just like this, and I can talk about security without even saying the word security, and I can get them all riled up. They're like, yeah, that's the stuff, woo, 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 woo. By saying simply, what we're going to do here is we are going to build repeatable processes that yield dependable results. Yeah, woo, 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 woo. Well, isn't that security? Isn't that security? If you can build repeatable processes and the outcome is dependable, that to me is the definition of security. But it's an important reframing of the conversation, because what have I just done? I've aligned myself with the business. I've aligned myself as a strategic partner in the business by reframing what our job is. We can also do a better job of defining with our organization how we spend money to protect money. I am going to spend a little bit of money to save a lot more money. I know that all of you in this room know this. I'm going to ask you the question, what have you done? What have you done in your business to explain that to them? Are you giving them the right reports on what the activities are that you're actually doing? Because the businesses, if you're not communicating that to them, they're just seeing it as, oh, I don't know, we pay the magic wizard behind the curtain money, and the magic wizard pulls the levers. Well, what levers did they pull? Does anybody here have a safe place on the internet where you don't get attacked? Does anybody have a visible IP address out on the internet that doesn't ever get attacked? Are we communicating to leadership how often we do get attacked? Are we telling them how often it happens, how many punches we're blocking? My son, as a goalie, he's got a stat for the goalies. I was like, yes, there's goals against, okay? But what other metric are goalies measured against? Not just how many goals they let in, but how many they stopped. Are you communicating to the right people in your organization in the right way to tell them how many shots you've stopped? Are you actually doing that? Because guess what the boss thinks is going on when you don't give them that information? They think it's a big fat goose egg, right? Think it's just, oh, well, we got pwned 3 times. Yeah, we were attacked thousands of times. Well, You need to show them that value. We're not doing that. We're not showing them. Somebody had mentioned decreasing liability early on. And yes, absolutely. That was one of the punchlines that I had. Thank you, the checks in the mail, whoever had said that. I forgot who it was. Yeah. Now, one of the ways that we can do this is Randy Marchini of Virginia Tech. He says he's been a CISO or whatever his job. He's got multiple roles. He's been a CISO for a large organization for longer than most people have held a job. And he was asked one day, I was there when he was asked this, like, Randy, how, when all of these other CISOs are being fired after breaches, when all of these people are let go, I mean, even the Target CISO, the CSO for Target, they got canned after that breach. Randy was asked, well, how do you continue to do this and stay in your job? And he said simply, never waste a breach. What does that mean, never waste a breach? Well, there's a few different ways of looking at this. For one, if your organization gets compromised, the microphone went out again. I was doing all the right things. It had me trained, and all of a sudden I lost it. When your organization gets compromised, there's hard questions that are going to be asked of you. And what are these answers to these questions? Well, that's too late. One of the things that I did at that research university, I'm going to go back to them for this particular example, is this research, since they were dealing with HIPAA data, HIPAA, the Health Information, Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, blah, blah, blah. And so every single time, because I knew that the Associate Vice Chancellor in charge of, they were our HIPAA security officer, I knew that they were checking for all of the HIPAA breaches. You know, that every single time one came in, OCR fined somebody, because he wanted to stay out of jail. You know you could go to jail by not following HIPAA. He decided he didn't want to go to jail. That was just that thing about him, you know? And so he would watch those reports. So what would I do? Every single one of those reports, when they came in, I would read that report. I would look at what the findings were in that corrective action plan. These are the things that a corrective action plan in this particular case is, this is the shit you're supposed to be doing that you didn't do, and therefore we're going to fine you. And so I would look at that and I would ask, if Office for Civil Rights, yes, HIPAA data is a civil rights privacy issue, I would ask, as us, an organization like us, if OCR came in and did an audit, how would we do? And so by the time he opened up that report, he knew what the answer would be for us. That's an example of never wasting a breach. Whatever your industry is, I just gave you an example for HIPAA. But whether it's, let's say you're a large retail organization, Target gets pwned. What did you guys say anything about that other than, oh, it sucks to be Target? Did you actually inform your organization, well, you know, if that happened to us, we'd be okay in these areas, but you know, we need help over here. Are you doing those things? And that's all about, you know, we reduce the threat, we reduce the vulnerability, blah, blah, blah. I really don't have much to say about that slide. What I want to do is I want to get to the crux of the problem. I have just spent 50 minutes framing a problem, and I am not going to give you an answer for it. I'm sorry. But I do have a solution. Don't start applauding yet. I do have a solution. First, an acknowledgement. What is the risk appetite of the organization? Do you understand your organization's risk appetite? Is it actually written down? Is it codified in policy? Or is it just the boss thinks that we're always going to be secure? That's a good place to start. Great, because there's Bruce Schneier. I'm sure most of you know who he is. He says there's no point in just thinking that this wave of selflessness is going to happen one day where everybody agrees on what risk is. You need to know who the people in leadership positions in your organization, what they think of risk. And you must answer to that. Also, we need to start speaking in their language. Now, here is the solution that isn't going to fix the problem today, because the problem is not fixable by us. That's the whole reason why I did not give you guys a solution. This is unsolvable by the people in this room. Leadership needs to do something. They don't know that they need to do something. If leadership needs to do something and they don't know it, whose fault is that? It's not leadership's fault. It's ours. Because guess what? When you get compromised, I don't know who it said, I'm going to address that side of the room. When you get compromised, are they going to say, my bad, and fire themselves? No. It's our problem. It's our problem to solve. So, what do we do? First, this is the first step. Congratulations for being here for this last 53 minutes here. In a few minutes, I'm going to stop talking. You know, I'm the quiet one in my family. Yeah. I really am. This is my outlet. I actually get to talk uninterrupted. You know, you guys have kids, you know, right? You know. We have to change the way that we view our jobs. That's step number one. When we change how we view our jobs, when we stop calling ourselves security and we start acknowledging that security isn't our job, we can start changing our minds about how we see our job. And then, when you make that change in how you think about your job, you change the way you talk about your job. And then when you change the way you talk about your job, you will start to, this is not something that we flip a switch and now we're good. We're going to change how others perceive our jobs. Remember, it starts with us. We change how we think about our job, which then will change our language. And then the business starts seeing us as a strategic partner where we are supporting what it is that we're actually doing in the business. And then, only then, can we be invited to that table and actually have a say in how our organization is protected. And most importantly, changing the perceptions of leadership that security isn't what we do. We're managing our levels of insecurity. But it all starts with us. It's up to us to change this. Leadership isn't going to, like Bruce Schneier said, it just isn't going to happen. We have to change that, all right? Now, I'm hoping, because over the last few years, I've gotten to this point. And it's how I've done my job going forward. I got to tell you, it's a wonderful place to be. I sleep well at night when I reframed how I see my job. I hope that this starts the first step on a journey for many of you. And as an industry, that we can change our organization's security for the better. So thank you for your time, folks. I hope you have a wonderful conference. And in just a moment here, we're going to have I was the warm-up act for Hal Pomerantz and his motley crew, all right? So thank you so much. I appreciate your time.